Hello children, today let us start an important lesson number 6, the Sultans of Delhi. Children, under this lesson, we are going to discuss about the invention of Arabs, invention of Turks, and invention of Turks, how it gave rise to the establishment of the Islamic rule in North India. We are going to discuss, and we are going to discuss about the policies of the sultans, their administration, socio-economic conditions of the period, and contribution made by them towards architecture and literature. Children, let us start the lesson. So, beginning from 8th century, there was a repeated invention from across the northwestern border of our country. So, there was repeated invention. So, first, what was the aim of their invention? The aim of their invention was looting the wealth, acquiring territories, and spreading Islam. Children, because of the invention, only the Islam rooted in India. So, children, first let us start to study about the Arab invention. So, they invaded Sindh in 712 CE. As a result of their victory, the province of Sindh and Multan went to their hand. Okay, with this, the Islam started taking root in the newly conquered land. So, because of this, Islam started to spread in the conquered land, that is in the Sindh provinces. At present, it is in Pakistan. So, in that provinces, the Islam started to root. Okay. However, the Arab aggression soon declarated. So soon it has put down, and then after 300 years, after 3 centuries, the Turkish will start their invention. So under that, the first one is Ghazni, Muhammad Ghazni. Children, he was a king of a small kingdom in Afghan. Okay, he was a sultan of Ghazni of Afghan. Ghazni was a small kingdom. Ghazni was a small kingdom of Afghan. So Muhammad Ghazni was a king for that kingdom. Ghazni kingdom. He was from Ghaznavi dynasty. Again, children, Muhammad Ghazni, he was a sultan of Ghazni, means he was a king of Ghazni. That place is in Afghan. So it was a small kingdom. Why he invaded India? He invaded India to loot India so that he can make his country rich. So he want to make his country rich, so only his kingdom rich, so only he invaded India. And one more thing, children, important point, that is he invaded India for 17 times. So the wealth what he was looted was estimated almost to 7 million. So he invaded India and he looted 17 times India. Children, he just not only looted the temples and the prosperous cities, he targeted most the temples and temples and prosperous cities. But he just not looted it, but he destroyed those temples and the prosperous cities. He killed many people. His army killed many people, and they took many people as their slaves. So this disturbed the political stance of the political position of the North India when he invaded India. So children, one more thing, see which are the important prominent temples which was looted are Sri Krishna temple at Mathura, which is in Uttar Pradesh, and also the sacred and rich temple of Somanatha temple, which is in Gujarat. That temple also was looted and destroyed by Muhammad Ghazni. So next, after his 17 times of invention, next comes another person, another king from Afghan. His name is Muhammad Ghori. He was also a king from Afghan. Before he was in the army of Ghazni dynasty. So he will have a small kingdom. After that, he will form a small kingdom. He will establish a small kingdom, and he was ruling in Afghan, and he will start invading India. Children, he is the person who is responsible for the establishment of further establishment of. He is a base for his invention is the base for the establishment of Sultanate, that is Delhi Sultanate in the North India. Okay, children. So let us study about Muhammad Ghori. I said he was king from Afghan. He invaded India and he secured the Sindh and Punjab. So he secured Sindh and Punjab. And children, when he tried to make further advances, the Prithviraj Chauhan, who was king of Delhi and Ajmer, will try to stop him, and Prithviraj Chauhan army and also Muhammad Ghori will meet in a battle, will fight in a battle. The battle name is First Battle of Taran. So what happens what was the result of First Battle of Taran? Children, First Battle of Taran was won by Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj Chauhan will get a victory in First Battle of Taran, where Muhammad Ghori was badly wounded in the battle, and he was at the tip of sword of Prithviraj Chauhan. But Prithviraj Chauhan was not only a great ruler, but also a great human. He shown mercy, which was a big mistake made by Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj Chauhan will show mercy on this Muhammad Ghori, and he will spare his death sentence. So he is spared from death penalty. So Prithviraj Chauhan will spare him. So what happens? Muhammad Ghori will return to his country, but Ghori will not be quite in the next year. Exactly in the next year or after the Battle of Taran, he will make a lightning attack on Prithviraj Chauhan. So Prithviraj Chauhan was not given any helping hand by other Rajput families. So he and some of his alliances or some of his friends will face Muhammad Ghori in the second battle of Taran. And unfortunately, Prithviraj Chauhan will lose the battle, and Prithviraj Chauhan was killed. So Muhammad Ghori will order to kill Prithviraj Chauhan. So this was the end of the great king of India, that is North India, that is Prithviraj Chauhan, a great warrior. Children, after his death, the Ghulam dynasties will start in India. So I'm going to explain you how the Ghulam dynasty started in India, how this Muhammad Ghori will become an important reason to start of this Ghulam dynasty. Children, now let us continue to study about the further how the Delhi went to the hands of the slave dynasty. Children, before returning to Afghan, Ghori, Ghori, what he done? He transferred the conquered territories to his general Qutbuddin Aibak. Yes, no, children. After the death of Prithviraj Chauhan, the territories which was conquered after the second battle of Taran, so which he was conquered, that was transferred to his general Qutbuddin Aibak, who was a military general plus he was a Ghulam of this Muhammad Ghori. Children, again, Qutbuddin Aibak was a Ghulam, and then he was appointed as a military general. So here, when this Muhammad Ghori conquered the North Indian territories, he transferred that to the hand of his military general Qutbuddin Aibak. Okay, so when this Muhammad Ghori was returning back to Afghan, he will die on the way. Okay, after his death, so Qutbuddin Aibak will start his own dynasty, which is known as Ghulam dynasty or slave dynasty, because he was a Ghulam or slave to Muhammad Ghori. So he will start his own dynasty known as Ghulam dynasty. Children, Qutbuddin was the first Sultan of Delhi. He had originally been a slave, and hence he founded by him is known as the slave dynasty. The dynasty which he started, it is known as the slave dynasty. The Ghulam dynasty or the slave dynasty, the Khilji dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty and Lodi dynasty. These are the 5 dynasties which ruled Delhi. Again, children, the Ghulam dynasty or the slave dynasty, the Khilji dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty and Lodi dynasty. These are the 5 dynasties which ruled Delhi. Okay, children, the Qutbuddin Aibak strengthened the Turkish rule in India by defeating his enemies. To mark his victory, he started constructing Qutub Minar at Mehruli near Delhi. So later it was completed by Sultan Iltutmish. Iltutmish will complete this Qutub Minar. Now also you can see this Qutub Minar. Even in page number 72, a picture is given of Qutub Minar. You can see. Children, the only female ruler during the Sultanate period was Razia, a daring sultana. She dispensed justice in the royal court. She dressed herself as a man and led army in the battlefield. Intolerant of women's rule, the nobles rebelled and killed her. So then starts after the end of Aibak dynasty, slave dynasty, starts the Khilji dynasty. So Khilji dynasty came into power, and important among the sultans, Delhi sultans, is Alauddin Khilji. So this Alauddin Khilji, his rule was based on military power. So he has a very good military power. So what are the policies he introduced? Alauddin introduced several reforms in administration, military and economic field. He regulated the price of goods and commonly consumed. So he regulated the price of goods which was commonly consumed by the people. So he banned consumption of liquor, and also he banned gambling, and he was given severe punishment to the accused persons. What is children? The culprits were getting very severe punishment during the rule of this Alauddin Khilji. Children, let us study about the military campaign of this Khilji dynasty or Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin aspired to conquer entire India. He wanted to conquer whole India. So in the first instant, he conquered North India by his military strength. To South India, he sent Malik Kafur, a slave who was close to him. So a slave who was close to this Khilji, he sent him to invade on South India with a huge army. So Malik Kafur invaded the 4 major kingdoms of South India and looted their capitals. So Malik Kafur invaded 4 important kingdoms of South India and looted their capital. The kingdom conquered by Kafur were Yadavas of Maharashtra, capital was Devagiri, and the Kakatiyas of Andhra, that is Warangal, the Vaisalas of Karnataka, Dwarasamudra, or what you call as Halebedu, and Pandyas of Tamil Nadu, Madurai. So these 4 South Indian kingdoms were looted, the capital were looted and acquired by Malik Kafur because they had a very good, huge military army. So this helped them to conquer this 4 major children. These 4 kingdoms are not small kingdoms. They were very strong kingdoms. So these 4 strong kingdoms were conquered by Malik Kafur. They looted the capitals like this Yadava's capital was Devagiri, Kakatiya's capital was Warangal, Vaisala's capital was Dwarasamudra, and Pandya's capital was Madurai. Malik Kafur continued his military march, proceeded toward up to Rameshwaram. Along the route, his army destroyed several places of worship and looted wealth. See, children, they just not looted the wealth; they destroyed several the sacred places, or what you'll call the worshipping places. Okay, and never before had such a huge quantity of wealth of South India flowed to Delhi. So never before it happened. So this time, because of this Malik Kafur, most of the South Indian wealth was taken away by this Malik Kafur to Delhi. Okay, Alauddin patronized Amir Khusru. Amir Hassan, and others who are Persian poet. He built a new fort in Delhi known as Siri, and Aliya Darwaza in Delhi. A grand structure was his contribution to architecture. Although his contribution is more towards architecture, but the invasion, what he has done, it troubled more people. Okay, people were suffered a lot. Many were killed, many were looted because of this Khilji. Okay, children. Next, Alauddin's last days were tragic. Okay, tragic. There were several rewards in the palace to overthrow him. Finally, Malik Kafur, out of greed of power, killed his master and declared himself a sultan. But he was also killed by his enemy. Within a short time, the Khilji rule ended and the Tughlaqs came to power. Children, so Malik Kafur, I said he was a slave of this Khilji, Alauddin Khilji. He only because of the greed of money, what he done, he killed his own master. He betrayed his own master, and then he declared himself and Sultan and started to rule. But finally, his enemies also killed. His enemies killed. Malik Kafur was killed by his enemies, and then finally, in short time, the Khilji dynasty ended, and finally, Tughlaqs came to power. Now, let us study about the Tughlaq dynasty. Children, now let us continue to study about the Tughlaq dynasty. Children, Muhammad bin Tughlaq was an important king, a notable king among the Tughlaq dynasty. He was known as a mad king. He was imprudent and ill-tempered. He was ill-tempered and who took hasty decisions. And he could be easily enraged. So he was getting very easily tempered, angry. So, in a word, he was a strange character. His character was so strange. So, administrative experiment. Let us continue to study about administrative experiment of Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So, he transfer of capital. First, we study about transfer of capital. To improve the functioning of the administration, he took several experiments. One such experiment was transferring the capital from Delhi to Devagiri, that is in Maharashtra. He was of view that the capital should be centrally located. So his idea was that the capital should be centrally located. So Devagiri, which is 700 miles from Delhi, was renamed as Daulatabad. So the Devagiri was renamed as Daulatabad, and he shifted his capital from Delhi to Devagiri or Daulatabad. He passed strict orders that all residents of Delhi who should move to the new place. So he ordered all residents to shift from Delhi to Daulatabad or Devagiri. So the resident of Delhi who was forced to leave their homes faced untold misery in the course of the journey. So a large number of them died on their way anyway. After shifting the capital, he realized that he had committed a grave mistake. So children, so it was an experiment to transfer his capital from Delhi to Devagiri, or which he renamed as Daulatabad. So his intention was that the capital should be in the middle of the kingdom. So only he shifted. But one hasty decision was he forced all the people from Delhi, including their belongings, to shift from Delhi to Devagiri, which is in south side. So the journey itself was a misery where many people lost their life during the journey. After the shifting, he realized what the grave mistake he has done. Again, he gave an order that to shift back from Devagiri to Delhi. So what happens? So he ordered reshifting of the capital and the people of Delhi. However, only few survived while returning back to Delhi. So this was an example for his decision, strange character, his different decision. Okay, children, issue of token coins. Another example, because why he is called as Mad King. Another example is issue of token coins. So another reform of Muhammad was that he issued copper coins in place of silver coins with the same face value. So this is a fatal mistake actually, children. So he issued the copper coins instead of silver coins, but he failed to pass order that only government has the authority to mint copper coins. So he has not announced that only government is going to mint the coin. So people took advantage of it, the robbers took advantages of it, and consequently people themselves begin to mint copper coins. Because of that, what happens, children? The price of the goods will increase. There will be a fake monetary system will start, correct? So this resulted in the devaluation of coins. Finally, he abolished using the copper coins and he exchanged silver coins for copper coins. So what he done? He abolished. After that, he got to know what the mistake he has done. He realized his mistake and then he stopped using of copper coins and he exchanged the silver coins. He gave the silver coins instead of taking copper coins from the people. So because of this, the treasury became empty. He was deceived by the people. The experiments proved a great failure and weakened the financial conditions of the state. So the government could not meet the demand for silver coins in exchange for token coins. Discontented with Muhammad rule, people started to revolt against him. Children, what happened is because of his unwanted decisions, the mistake decisions caused the burden on the treasury, where treasury became barren or treasury became empty. So people started to revolt against him to get back the money, to regain the treasury. What he done is he started to put more pressure on the peasant to pay more taxes. Okay, and this caused the revolt of the peasants also against this Muhammad. Children, while he was putting down a revolt in Sindh province, he died of fever. After Tughlaq rule, the Sayyid and the Lodi dynasty ruled from Delhi for a short period. The last Lodi ruler, Ibrahim, was defeated in the Battle of Panipat by Babur, who laid the foundation for the Mughal rule. Even Babur also is from Afghan. Children, he will come to India to invade the territories. So there he will meet this last Lodi ruler Ibrahim, and then he will put an end to the Delhi Sultanate, and Babur will start his own dynasty called as Mughal dynasty. So thus Mughal rule will start in North India. Children, I hope you understood about the 5 dynasties which ruled Delhi, Delhi Sultans. Now let us continue to study about the contribution of Delhi Sultans. First, administration. How was the administration and economy during the period of Delhi Sultans? Although the Hindus formed the majority, yes, no children, the Hindus were majority, but still Muslim rule was there. So the administration was functioned according to the Islamic lines, according to their Islamic rule. They ruled their kingdom. The army formed the backbone of the state. Actually, army is the backbone of the state. So the supreme authority was with the sultans itself. So the sultans hold their supreme authorities. Balban, a notable sultan, he declared himself as a god, and hence God's representative. He declared himself as a god representative, and he accountable to God alone. Okay, declared that he is accountable to the God alone. The sultans, however, had to face frequent revolts of the local rulers and were always fearful of losing power. So always frequently local rulers were threatened the sultans, and they were always in the fear of losing power. So economy, the burden of land tax heavily fell on the peasants. Muhammad bin Tughlaq increased the land revenue and got it collected mercilessly. So without mercy, he started to trouble the peasants, give the punishment. Very horrible punishment was given by this Tughlaq. So he started to take more and more taxes from the peasants or farmers. So peasants also revolted against this Tughlaq everywhere. Weaving was a major occupation of the people. The cities provided employment to a large number of workers on account of brisk building activities taking place there. So the sultans were mainly importing horses. This was the they were importing horses actually. So next let us move on to study about architecture and literature. Architecture and literature. The main structures built by sultans were the famous Qutub Minar, which is 17 meters tall, and Aliya Darwaz, an impressive entrance, and also Full Islam Mosque and the Fort of Siri. So all these are in Delhi. During the Sultanate period, the Urdu language evolved. Before it was called as Dakkani, then now it is called as Urdu. Okay, Amir Khusru, Amir Hasan were the most important Persian poets of this period. Amir Khusru was a poet and also a musician. So he evolved musical instruments such as tabla, sitar, and others. The poet Jayasi wrote Padmavat in Urdu, which was a Sufi poem. Okay, and Ramananda, Kabirdas, Raidas, and Mirabai belong to this period. So Ramananda, Kabirdas, Raidas, Mirabai, this this Sufis, these are all they are all belongs to this Sultan's period. Children, I hope you understood the administration and economy and architecture and literature. I hope you understood the lesson, the Sultans of Delhi. Thank you, children.